The next one, this is my guy right here, by the way. This is I'm from Rhode Island originally. This is Judge Frank Caprio, who has a famous court show, basically a traffic court show. It's called Caught in Providence, Providence, Rhode Island, the capital of Rhode Island. Um, uh, this guy, if you ever actually listen to him, Judge Caprio is wonderful with people. He's wonderful in the way he presents. I think he's also emblematic of what we should all aspire to be as lawyers, as professionals, because no matter who's in the courtroom, it could be a 5-year-old child, it could be someone that's just having a rough day because they can't afford to pay tickets, what have you. He doesn't handle the most important cases in the world, but he knows and understands that those matters are important to the people that are before him. And I think he's a wonderful example. The show's been on forever. It's a great YouTube watch. Go look at Caught in Providence, and you'll just get to see this is what a professional looks like. He's not reading anything, I promise you. He's aware of the charges, and he's dealing with people and having real conversation. And he certainly is engaged with those people before him at that time. His eyes will not divert up, will not divert down. He's talking to people and having like I said, real discussions with them. This number 4, though, as it relates to a professional presentation, is unique to trial, unique to mock trial. But it's an important thing as you think about the broader aspect of professional presentations. You have to talk through and deal with your audience, right? We can get lost. A presentation distraction or a crutch could be, PowerPoint. You've seen it with teachers where they put every drop of what they want to say on a PowerPoint slide, and then essentially they're reading out loud and they're waiting for the next slide to click so they know what to say as it relates to the next slide. Well, one, you have lost the content. You will not hear some of that content in that discussion. Why? Because the crutch is in the way. It's like watching someone read out loud. And instead, what you should do is, who is your audience? Make sure you are talking to them. And in mock trial, you talk through the court. That is, if you have to say something about the other side, if you have to object, if you have argument on an objection, if you are saying prosecution calls its next witness, Your Honor, may I have 5 minutes for a bathroom break? Whatever the discussion is, it's through the court, even if it's about the other side or even if it's about the jury. So what I want you to think about, and the best way to handle it is, of course, objections. Because if I'm with my right hand engaged in an exercise of direct examination, I'm asking clear, well-paced who, what, where, when, why, describe, explain type questions, and then someone objects, what do I want to do automatically? I want to turn and face them, and it all of a sudden can turn into a back and forth discussion of, no, I wasn't, yes, you were, no, you were. Nobody wants to watch that, and it's not professional. So if you think this is going to be about whether it's proper, my last question is proper, then what I can do is I'm asking my questions with my right hand on direct examination, objection, I turn and face just the judge, and I talk through the court. The other way I describe this, I give just one ear hole to my opponent. So I can turn, I can pivot, go from my witness to the judge to have this discussion through the court on an objection, and my opponent gets one ear. And they get the one ear, so I hear what they're saying and I react to them, but I don't turn and face them. So it's a unique thing that I'm going to be in my professional presentation as it relates to mock trial. If it involves the court, I'm going to talk through the court. So as much as the other side could be turning at me and saying, his question's improper and he shouldn't be doing this, and turning and looking, if I pivot only to the court and say, Your Honor, may I respond? My question is not improper, because now of the two professional presentations going on, that of the opponent, the one who's objecting, and that of the proponent, the one who's on direct examination, who's responding, I am the more professional. My presentation comes off more professional because I'm adhering to this number 4. I am talking through the court. Good one to keep in mind. Just think, very seldom are you ever turning to your opponent and engaging them in a conversation like it's, cable TV. Anything where you're having an issue like this with your opponent, you're probably talking through the court about an objection. Once it's resolved, the objection is sustained. They agreed with them. The objection is sustained. Move on to your next question seamlessly. Resume your professional presentation. Appear as if this was all as you intend, all as it was intended. Here's the last one of the 5 that has to do with professional presentation. And then For lack of a better expression, we call it the unflappable can't be flapped. I want you to think back to earlier in the video how we talked about that camera that's centered on you throughout trial. And it's really easiest to focus on that camera and how you want to be reflected, how you want to be projected on that camera that's focused on you throughout the professional presentation, throughout the trial. If you just think to those moments when you're in between, you just handled a witness examination, now you're sitting back at counsel table, the camera is still set on you. You have to project that all that's happening, everything that's happening, your parts, opponent's parts, teammates' parts, witness testimony from someone that's on your team, whatever it is, rulings by the judge, all of it is coming out exactly as you intended. You are not having any big sudden movements as it relates to how this trial is going. Okay, and I want you to think about it. This is the cat that's sort of looking at the bird here. You know, you're trying to remain poised. You're trying to remain quieted in your body movements and your distractions. If you are offering eye rolls to everything you don't like, or bumping your teammate and wanting to make eyes about everything you don't like, or making big sudden movements or gasps or anything about the parts that you don't like. And again, mock trial is a disjointed process. It's an adversarial process where the other side will put on the stuff favorable to them. There should be plenty that happens in a trial that you don't like or that you don't agree with. How do you want to be projected on that camera? And I will submit to you, you want it to be where your body is quiet, where you are unflappable, where you are poised. That's what I want. No matter what happened, I look like that's exactly what I thought was going to happen. And I'm going to take care of it on my next opportunity for a professional presentation. I'm not worried about it. I'm certainly not going to make any big movements about it, because if you're making these eye rolls, if you're making these gestures, if you're making these big movements, right, the jury's seeing that. The camera is zoned in on you. Now, I want you to think about it that way, because you have to think, because the lights are on, as we discussed, the camera is on you and everyone sees everything that you do. So why not project that everything's going exactly as you intended, even if it's not? That's part of the art of this. You have to be unflappable. So if you think about, you're on a sales call, you are making a pitch, a presentation about your product or service to the next client, a prospective client, right? They might say things that are not good for you. We're just not in the market for that service right now. Yeah, it's just not the right time because budgets are tight. We actually are waiting till next week because we're going to hear from your competitor. Those things are all bad news. And in a professional presentation, if you're going to, with a prospective client, roll your eyes or gasp or fall down in your seat or react poorly, that's not going to go well for you. If you hear it, that camera on you during that sales call, and you say, I knew you were going to say that, and you have something to add, or you have something to say, or you can make it part of your professional presentation. Of course, we want you to talk to all of our competitors, including the meeting you have scheduled next week. I just hope you keep an open mind with respect to what we have to offer and our rates, so we can continue this conversation even after you hear from them. Now I heard it, didn't make any loud movements, and made it part of my next presentation. That's what trial is all about. So everything's as you intended. And think about it for your professional presentations in life and all the presentations that you would make. You can think back to mock trial, because I can tell you in real trial attorneys do this for a living. Okay. Jurors come to join us for this exercise in evaluating the facts of a case once, twice, a few times in life. So what do you think they look at to see how this is going? Yeah, they can hear the content and they might see that one side is more effective in its content. But for the most part, just like we would look at a doctor as to how a medical procedure is going, they're looking at the lawyers to see how this trial is going. So if one side is making sudden movements and eye rolling to everything and gasping and looking to be furiously scribbling notes to their teammate, and the other side is poised, unflappable, we'll just handle it in the next presentation, just on that alone, they're going to say this side must be winning. This side must be more effective and persuasive in their presentation, because they look like it's as everything's going as they intended. So think about that. Project that in all your professional presentations. This is all going exactly. I knew you were going to say you wouldn't have the money at this time, but let me tell you why it's a great budget reason, a great monetary reason why you should go forward and it'll actually save you money in the long run, so on and so forth. As always, subscribe to the channel, ask me any questions or future requests through Gmail.